Hello everyone and welcome to this special Saturday episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young and we have a lot to cover, so I'll jump right into it. As has become tradition, I'll start with the NFL playoffs. The divisional round was last weekend and we were treated to 4 incredible games. Well, 3.5. The half being the AFC matchup of the Baltimore Ravens and Houston Texans. I say half because Houston had pretty good control over the Ravens offense in the first 2 quarters, holding them to just 10 points and sacking Lamar Jackson 3 times. A punt return touchdown by Houston's Steven Sims and a field goal tied the game 10-10 heading into halftime. The second half is where the Ravens showed their full strength. On the first drive of the second half, quarterback Lamar Jackson led the Ravens on a 55-yard drive, which ended in Jackson rushing for a 15-yard touchdown. Then, in the fourth quarter, Jackson would complete a 15-yard touchdown pass to tight end Isaiah Likely, followed by another 8-yard touchdown run by Lamar Jackson. A Justin Tucker field goal with 2 minutes remaining would seal the victory for the Ravens, taking down Houston 34-10. Lamar Jackson finished the day with 152 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, on top of 100 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. On top of an already stellar regular season, this divisional game all but sealed the MVP trophy for Jackson. He became the first quarterback since at least 1948 in the regular season or playoffs, with at least 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs, 100 yards rushing, and 100 passer rating in the same game. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud played pretty well himself, throwing for 175 yards and taking no sacks, but he would not throw a touchdown on the day. In fact, the Texans never even made it inside the red zone. Baltimore is now just 1 game away from the Super Bowl, and they had to wait until Sunday night to see which team would travel to Baltimore to face off for the AFC Championship game. Another historic matchup between the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs determined who would make it to the next round of playoffs. Even in the first road playoff game of his career, Mahomes threw 2 touchdown passes to Travis Kelce, and the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs advanced to their 6th straight AFC Championship game with a 27-24 win over the Bills on Sunday night. Early on, you could tell this was going to be a back-and-forth game where whichever team had the ball last would most likely walk away with a win. After exchanging field goals in the first quarter, Josh Allen scored the game's first touchdown on a 5-yard run, putting the Bills in the lead. Another Chiefs field goal and the first Travis Kelce touchdown gave Kansas City their first lead of the game, but Josh Allen would run in another one just before halftime to put the Bills ahead 17-13. Another Kelce touchdown and an Isaiah Pacheco score for Kansas City, followed by an incredible throw and catch from Allen to Khalil Shakir for Buffalo, made the score 27-24 with the Chiefs out in front. Josh Allen led the Bills on an 8-minute drive, which did include some missed touchdown passes and catches, but still put them in field goal range. With under 2 minutes left, Bills kicker Tyler Bass set up to attempt the game-tying 44-yard field goal. Unfortunately, history repeated itself for the Bills, and Bass' kick missed wide right. The Chiefs would knee out the clock and move on to their 6th straight AFC Championship. The much-anticipated matchup between the Ravens and Chiefs to determine who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl will be this Sunday at 12 p.m. on CBS. The Chiefs have to travel to a hostile M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore in what will be another cold winter game. The Ravens currently sit as just slight favorites to win, but with Mahomes and the Chiefs, anything can happen. In the NFC, both of these games came down to one final drive. Starting the weekend off on Saturday, the Green Bay Packers traveled to Santa Clara to take on the top-seeded 49ers. Quarterback Jordan Love and the rest of the Packers offense looked to be in control for most of the game. An early touchdown by George Kittle put San Francisco in the lead, but 2 field goals and 2 Jordan Love touchdown passes put the Packers out in front, 21-14 entering the fourth quarter. The 49ers would settle for a field goal to start the final quarter, cutting the Green Bay lead down to just 4. Then, who else but Christian McCaffrey? McCaffrey bounced off defenders and found the end zone for his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day, giving the Niners a 24-21 lead with just over 1 minute remaining. Jordan Love took the field, looking to complete a game-winning drive for Green Bay and take the Packers to the NFC Championship in his first season as their starting quarterback. Just 3 plays into the drive, however, with 52 seconds remaining, Love rolled right and attempted to throw across his body to the left, which never ends well. The deep throw was intercepted by San Francisco linebacker Dre Greenlaw, ending the game and the season for Green Bay. To be honest, Brock Purdy's throws were off target all night. The San Francisco defense kept giving up some big plays, and the 49ers even had a couple of special teams errors. For a while, it seemed like the top-seeded 49ers might be sent home in their first playoff game. But a late-game comeback, led by Christian McCaffrey, saved the 49ers season. They are now just 1 game away from another Super Bowl appearance. Purdy still managed to finish the game with 252 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions, although he did struggle at times. Like I said, McCaffrey ended the day with 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just like the Ravens, San Francisco had to wait until Sunday to see who they would be hosting for the NFC Championship game. A matchup of 2 historic underdogs, the Lions and Buccaneers, would be the determining game on who would travel to San Francisco for the NFC Championship. Detroit was coming off of their first playoff win in 30 years, while Tampa Bay had just earned a massive upset over the Philadelphia Eagles during a season in which most people thought the Bucs would finish dead last, myself included. Similar to a few of the other games, after a couple of field goals and Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff touchdown passes, the game entered halftime tied 10-10. Each team scored another touchdown in the third, and the fourth quarter started with the 2 teams tied up 17-17. Detroit would score quickly to start the fourth, ending a 5-play drive with a 31-yard touchdown run by the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. After a short 3-and-out by Tampa, Detroit marched down the field on a 10-play, 89-yard drive that took up just about 6 minutes and was capped off by a Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown passing touchdown. With just a few minutes left, the Lions were up 31-23 and again had the ball. A score would seal the win, but the Bucs defense forced the Lions to punt, and Tampa's offense took the field down 8 with 2 minutes remaining. A scoring drive plus a 2-point conversion would send the game to overtime, but similar to the Packers game, on just the second play of the drive, Baker Mayfield's pass was intercepted by Detroit, and the game was over. Mayfield finished the day with 349 yards and 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions, and Goff thrived, throwing for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns, lifting Detroit into the NFC Championship for the first time in 32 years and just the second time in franchise history. The Detroit Lions and San Francisco 49ers will now battle it out for a spot in the Super Bowl. Detroit's offense has been one of the most dominant offenses in the NFL this season, while their defense has struggled at times. The exact same goes for the 49ers, although I was critical of them earlier, but that was also their first game after a bye week and a long rest. I expect this game to be high scoring with tons of big plays. Whichever defense plays up to the task will walk away victorious and as a Super Bowl contending team. The highly anticipated matchup of the 49ers and Lions kicks off on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. on Fox. Last week, I extensively talked about the NFL head coaching situation and how many openings there were across the league. This week, some of those spots were filled. On Thursday, it was announced the Carolina Panthers are expected to hire Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales as their new head coach. As I said earlier, Canales led the Bucs offense to an impressive season and an NFC divisional round playoff appearance. To replace Mike Vrabel, the Titans have hired the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. Callahan was part of the Bengals when Andy Dalton was their quarterback and helped develop the team under Joe Burrow in recent years, which led them to a Super Bowl appearance in 2022. And lastly, the biggest news of the week. The Los Angeles Chargers are hiring Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh has a long, storied history of success. He just recently won the national championship in Michigan just a few weeks ago. Before that, Harbaugh went 44-19-1 in 4 years with the San Francisco 49ers after inheriting a team coming off of 8 straight non-winning seasons. He took Stanford from 1-11 to an Orange Bowl win and a top 5 ranking in 5 years. He went 29-6 coaching non-scholarship Division I AA players at San Diego. The Chargers have a lot of key players becoming free agents this offseason, but this hiring is the first step in returning the team to its former greatness. I mentioned it had been over 30 years since the Lions have made it to a conference championship game, and for the first time in 30 years, another record has been set in the golf world. 20-year-old American Nick Dunlap has become the first amateur golfer to win on the US PGA Tour in 33 years and just the 8th amateur to win since 1945. The college sophomore, who plays golf for the University of Alabama, won the American Express tournament Sunday at the PGA West golf course in La Quinta. Dunlap's score of 29 under par was 1 stroke better than the runner-up. However, there's a weird wrinkle to the story. Because he's strictly an amateur on the tour, Dunlap is unable to cash his $1.5 million winner's check. That means even though he beat runner-up South African Christian Bezuidenhout by 1 stroke, the entire purse will go to Bezuidenhout. Luckily, due to new collegiate NIL deals, Dunlap most likely won't go home totally empty-handed. It's only fitting to end the show with another record that was just broken earlier this week. Reigning NBA MVP Joel Embiid had a historic scoring night on Monday, producing a monster stat line, ending the game with 70 points, 18 rebounds, and 5 assists. He's only the 9th player in league history to score 70-plus points, and this was his career high in both points and rebounds as the 76ers defeated the Spurs 133-123. Embiid scored 24 points in the first quarter alone, and it was apparent early he was going to put up a ridiculous stat line. The center has been absolutely on fire, having scored at least 30 points in the last 21 games he's played. Embiid is also leading the league in scoring, averaging an astounding 36.1 points per game. That just about does it for this week's episode of Sports Corner. Be sure to check out all the excitement around the NFL playoffs this weekend, as well as some basketball, hockey, or if you're into tennis, the Australian Open Finals, which are this weekend. I'll cover the results of that tournament next week, and we should be back on the normal schedule, so I'll see you all on Friday. I'm Cole Young. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.